Let's check out what's in my camera bag. Welcome to the bright side. So first and foremost, you can't have a what's inside my camera bag without going over, well, the camera bag. This is my one and only camera bag that I've had about 8 years now, I think. It's just your standard low pro bag that I actually picked up at Best Buy on a deal. Pretty sure I got it for around $30, $35. The bag is completely covered in this super thick canvasy material, which is super awesome for durability. I've had this thing, like I said, for around 8 years and haven't had any issues with any wear and tears at all on this thing. The front is a nylon material, as well as the back is kind of like a nylon mesh. And as you'll see, it actually holds quite a bit of gear. So much so that I haven't had to upgrade to anything bigger. On the back, you'll notice the gray mesh material that I was talking about, and it's pretty well padded too. So anything hard that you have inside the case is not just gonna jab you in the back when you are walking around carrying this thing. On the strap, you'll notice this little clip-on carry system for my camera that I use for recording all the time, which I'll go over here in a bit. Picked this thing up on Amazon, just was about $10, $15. And this is the system that I used for my POV walk in the park photography video, if you've seen that. If not, what's wrong with you? But the thing works great, holds on super tight, no slippage whatsoever. I like it. Now let's move on to the goodies on the inside. First and foremost, this is my absolute workhorse, my Nikon Z5. This is my professional level mirrorless camera that I've used since 2021. So I got this thing right around a year after Nikon released the Z line and this along with it. And before I got this, the camera I was mainly using was a Nikon D3200. So as you can imagine, this was a major upgrade for me. And the last 4 years using this for every single photo shoot has been an absolute blast. This thing hasn't let me down once. I love the clarity of the photos. I love the ease of use of it. The colors could be a little more vibrant, but in reality with Lightroom editing, I'm able to bring all those colors back and create a very full edit. But color vibrancy is something that I will be touching on here in a little bit, something else that I have in my bag. So overall, this is my pro camera that I grab for every photo shoot that I do. Portraits, landscaping, street photography, whatever it is, this is my go-to camera every single time. Along with the camera, I've created my own little shoulder strap system. It's pieced together with a Falcam body clip and a Peak Design strap with the everyone's favorite magnetic thumb clips that keeps this thing super sturdy and very stable. Along with the Falcam body clip, it also came with a piece to secure your camera along to it. You just slide in and it clicks, and then it dangles next to my side. And whenever I'm ready to shoot, I just push in the buttons here and slide it right out. And then I'm ready to take whatever photos I'm doing. Then when I'm done, again, just slide the whole thing in, put it around my shoulder, and I carry on doing whatever I'm doing. This part of my kit was surprisingly pretty pricey, especially with this strap being a Peak Design strap. You don't necessarily have to go with Peak Design. I just know hundreds of photographers have used Peak Design straps every single day, and so far it seems like they hold up the best compared to other brands. But of course, you can find some more expensive or less expensive depending on what you're wanting. When I bought my Z5, I bought it in a bundle that came with this 24 to 200 millimeter f4 to 6.3 kit lens. And strangely enough, this was the only lens that I had for my Z5 for the last 4 years. It was only earlier this year that I bought a second lens for the Z5. It's not like I needed it. Really, I just wanted it to try something new with a different f-stop. But with a focal length of 24 to 200 millimeters, this thing paired with the Z5 is, in my opinion, one of the best combinations that you can for an entry pro level mirrorless camera. And the second lens that I got for my Z5 is this teeny tiny little guy. You may recognize it from my review video a few weeks ago, but it's the 35mm f1.8 from TTArtisan, paired along with this black mist filter from K&F Concept. Like I said, I didn't really have a need for this lens, but honestly, I'm really glad that I did get it because I've never really shot as low as 1.8 aperture, and it really does make a surprisingly big difference for like portrait photography, with the bokeh in the background at f1.8 looking way more natural compared to the kit lens where the bokeh almost looked forced. If you're shopping around for a second lens, I highly recommend that you get this one. Moving on to one of the first videos that I did on this channel, the CampSnap. If you haven't watched that video, first off, again, what's wrong with you? But second, just to give you a little quick rundown, basically this little guy is just a modern take on an old disposable camera. It's super fun to have around with you, especially since it can easily fit into your pocket and you can pretty much travel anywhere with it. Definitely a fun little camera to have around, especially if you have little kids that you're looking to distract if you're on a vacation or going on a long trip or something. Just hand this to them and they'll take the most random photos, but it'll be a fun time for them. The next thing is actually what you guys are currently looking through. No, it's not your computer or TV or phone or whatever you're using. It's actually the camera that I use for every single video. This is the DJI Pocket 2. I'll be honest with you, I wasn't really comfortable shelling out the amount of money that the DJI Pocket 3 cost, so I opted to downgrade just a little bit, especially since I'm just starting my YouTube channel and it hasn't really gone anywhere yet. So I wanted to play it safe and spend a little less money on the video camera that I use for everything. Using it for a couple of months now, I'm sure you guys have noticed in my videos, but I'm not 100% happy with the exposure levels or color levels that this thing has during indoor shooting. Like for me, I'm using it mainly for vlog style videos, but during my POV walk in the park video, I was super happy with the levels and exposure and everything that this thing had for outside shooting. Which now that I think about it, really makes more sense as an outdoor camera since the Pocket series cameras were made to be action cameras anyway. So if you do have one of these or are thinking about getting one of these, just have that in the back of your mind that it's definitely going to perform better outside compared to being inside vlog style. The next piece that I've added to my kit bag, I 100% believe that all photographers and videographers should have this, and this is a brick light. Well, really any type of light would do, but getting a light like this really helps you fill in the shadows for photography as well as videos, especially if you're shooting in a darker space, want to highlight some shadows, want to highlight your subject. These little brick lights, you can find them everywhere on Amazon, and also check Facebook Marketplace for these too. A lot of people have them, surprisingly, but not a lot of people talk about them. Probably because they're all pretty much the same and they're pretty boring to talk about, but definitely a very essential piece to have built into your kit. Before we get to the final piece in my bag, again, another boring part, but also extremely necessary, are extra batteries, extra chargers, and extra SD cards or memory cards. No matter what camera you may have, chances are you can find third-party batteries online for far less than what it would cost to get first-party batteries or first-party chargers. And although I wouldn't recommend it, sometimes you can find used batteries for next to nothing. Real quick before we go over the last piece in my bag, if you've liked the video so far, please hit the like button and subscribe as well if you're not subscribed already, as that helps me grow this channel tremendously. All right, the final piece that I've added to my camera bag is probably the thing that surprised me the most, and that is the Sony NEX3N paired with the Power Zoom 16 to 50mm lens. This super tiny camera I reviewed a couple of weeks ago on the channel, and honestly it blew me away with its performance being a little jam-packed powerhouse in itself. This camera is a little older. It came out in either 2011 or 2013, one of the two, I can't really remember, early 2010s. So because of that, the back screen definitely is dated, but the sensor inside and the quality of photos that you get out of this camera makes it still a very valid option in 2025. So much so that I've added this camera permanently to my camera bag, and I've made it my #1 go-to option for everyday carry camera, as well as my go-to travel camera and just general landscape and street photography. Mainly because of the super small size that this camera is. It's super easy to take and use anywhere on the go. Plus, this camera acts as a little second camera for my wife, who doesn't really love all the bells and whistles of a pro level mirrorless camera, but she loves just setting this thing on automatic mode and just using it as a little point and shoot, and it still gets amazing photos even on those settings. One of the downsides that I mentioned with the Nikon Z5 was overall color performance. But with this camera, you get surprisingly vibrant colors, especially with blues and reds. And I didn't really notice that I was lacking colors with my Z5 until I got this camera and did a side-by-side shoot comparing the photos directly out of body. And by far, I'm a big fan of Sony colors. I fully understand now why everyone seems to be switching over to Sony if they haven't already. I was surprised so much by this little camera's performance that I've actually been looking at getting a pro level Sony, mainly the A7 III. I feel like that camera is still a lot of people's go-to, but honestly, with it being a few years old by now, I don't know if I'm going to go with that one or one of the newer Sonys that they've recently come out with. For that, I have a lot more research to do. And that wraps up my 2025 camera bag tour. I'm really curious with how this is going to change over the next year, especially with the YouTube channel. I feel like I'm going to be swapping out a lot of items in my bag, so the next year should be a pretty interesting one. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and comment down below what you'd like to see next on the channel. And until next time, deuces everybody.